So I'll have you tell your story again, because we always got to assume in the deal structures that people I can't assume that they already saw 300 deals, right? Like they might just be seeing this for the first time. So, Okay. All right. Welcome to this week's Deal Structure Sunday. I am joined by Mallory Meehan from Pennsylvania. I got that right, I hope.
Yes.
Good deal. Mallory, tell them a little bit about what you do now, maybe how you found us and why, and then we're going to dive into a really cool deal.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I'm Mallory. I am a full-time professor at Penn State University. I teach real estate. I teach real estate law, real estate finance, real estate market analysis, a whole bunch of different things in real estate. I've been teaching now, this is my 7th year, and I just was never really into the investing game. And so I really wanted to start doing what I was teaching. And I came across Chris in a podcast that I was listening to and reached out, and the rest is history. So it's been a fun journey so far. Started back in March, and yeah, here we are.
Yep, you saw me in a podcast and still wanted to hang out, which is
I still wanted to hang out with you.
out.
Yeah.
All right. Now, for a little backdrop, Mallory, for these guys, this is only your second deal with us, and you joined us in I think March after the one of the main events we had in the spring.
Yep.
Cool. And you dipped your toe in the water, I think, before that, just with the initial training, like the jumpstart stuff, right?
No, my 90 days was starting in towards the end of March.
Oh, wow. Okay, fantastic. So here we are, guys, just for filming purposes. We are at the end of September. So April, May, June, July, August, September, 6 months. Because it's usually with the events run, and we're already on deal 2. Deal 1 came what month? Forget, calendar-wise.
It was signed in June, and then I found a buyer. They closed in July.
So there you go, guys, 90 days-ish. And we're in the second cycle, so to speak, of 90 days, and here we are. Okay, so this is a deal. What type of deal?
This is a lease option.
Okay, lease purchase, lease option. Just for context, your last one was a sub 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right, the source of this one, Mallory?
This was a FSBO, for sale by owner.
And did you call it, or did a VA call it? Who called it initially?
A VA called it initially.
Okay. So again, I can go fast. That's my deal. But for the listeners, viewers, the VA is a virtual assistant. I prefer that if you're doing the business, you do have a virtual assistant right away, like Mallory's doing. Mallory's super busy, but even if you say, hey, Chris, I have time, I would tell you to have a virtual assistant for sure.
1000%.
Yeah. Okay, FSBO VA. Do you know from the time the VA called them to when you started talking to them, was there a lag there? I don't think I've asked you that.
I think it was probably a 2-day window. It wasn't very long.
Okay, so super short. Then you got right out there, obviously, because this thing sold by like pretty quickly. Okay, the term on the lease purchase?
36 months.
Okay. Did you do that? And then I'll explain to the viewers. Did you do that to protect any exclusion for the capital gains or anything like that, or you just did a standard 36 months?
I mean, that was what they were willing to do. I took it out as 36 months, and they had no problem with that. It was their primary residence, but they didn't have much equity in the deal, so I don't think they were worried about any sort of tax implications.
Got it. Okay, just for context for the viewers. And then how much debt? Well, let me just define this. So in the lease purchase, almost every time, we are looking at not really purchase price, but we're looking at what's the debt and what's the equity they're going to get out of it, if there is any. And so in this case, how much debt?
They have $245,000 in debt.
And what's the underlying interest rate?
2.875.
That's the beautiful thing. Okay, so again, if you're new to these, if you're not, you already love it. If you're new to these, please keep in mind, we have a house here that Mallory's taking advantage of in a positive way, this 2.875% interest rate. What was the interest rate on your sub 2 deal you did? Do you remember?
3.4.
Yeah, so super, super aggressive rates. Nobody's buying at those rates right now, guys. They're in the 7s. Is there any equity in this deal for the seller?
Yeah, 70,000.
70,000. Do you want it before 36 months, I'm assuming? No interest, no payments. Okay. What was this house on for FSBO? Was it just those two added up, or did you go lower?
No, they were trying to get 325, and so we got it for 315.
Okay, so a little bit lower, even though terms is better anyway. And then we went out and, well, first of all, any nuances with the seller, like what's the motivation? Because I got to tell you, Mary, I was on another show today, right? Every time the host even goes, I don't get it. Like, why would people do this? So what was the motivation with the seller, just so they know?
Yeah, so the seller, he had lost his job and he was looking for a new job and knew that it wasn't going to be in Pennsylvania. So he was kind of trying to get this house sold before finding his next job, or at least figuring that part out first. And so they were kind of in a tough spot. They really just needed to get it kind of taken care of.
Job reloads with a date is always like an urgency. That's yeah,
Mhm.
good, you can help them. So keep in mind, I say this all the time, if you're watching these deals, all Mallory did is solve a problem, right? It's all she did. Or if this house was free and clear, let's say, she'd be maybe not solving a problem, but helping them accomplish something that the market wouldn't let them accomplish. That's all we're doing here, constantly. And if they weren't in a hurry or they wanted their money tomorrow, then Mallory wasn't the buyer. It's that simple. So we went out and sold this for how much?
$349,900.
Now, coincidental for these guys to know, Mallory, this deal that we're outlining, I believe, closes in funds 1 day from now, 2 days from now,
Tomorrow. Yep.
tomorrow. So her and Nick, my son Nick, specializes in the buyer side of things, and Mallory and Nick have worked together on a couple buyers meetings now, and they locked up a great buyer. And we're going to outline that buyer here. But what's the background of this buyer? Why do they need the program?
Yeah, so they have their own business, and so they are they don't have enough credit history to show a bank that they are an established kind of having an established business, it being a little bit newer. And they had the option of buying the brother-in-law's house, but just it was too small. They needed a little bit bigger property. And so this property, they told me they've been looking for something like this for 8 years. And it's kind of crazy that it just happened. And yeah, they fell in love. They're going to put their business part there too. So it's a win-win.
I love it. It's nice when there's a win-win-win, right? In the creative space, in which there usually is. Okay, their deposit, how much? And is it upfront or over time?
$35,000 up front.
Okay, so that's fantastic. Again, if you're new to this, you won't know that sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes it's, well, look, I can put 12 down today or 17 down today, and I can put the rest when I get my tax refund in this, next spring, whatever it might be, or I'm getting a raise and I can up it. This is fantastic. She has these people vested right away. That's sweet. Did we get first month also in this one?
We did not.
Okay, so no extra first month. So did we not do the in the lease purchase agreement, did we say it starts 30 days after occupancy or no?
In the lease purchase when I was dealing with the owners of the property, they really needed to have it started in October.
No gap. Yeah. Probably because of what you said with their challenge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All good
So
there.
I didn't want to push that. I didn't want to push that issue.
Yeah. And it comes up. Look, years ago, we started doing terms deals in 13-ish, let's say. I don't think that concept of first month came up till a buddy of mine, I wish I could take credit for it, said to me, hey, Chris, you know what we're doing these days? We're just starting our agreements 30 days later because mortgages are paid in arrears and we're keeping that first month. That's a cool little technique, but you don't have to do it every time. So Melly just made it work for them. All right, monthly payment on this underlying 245.
So I am paying the owners $1,850.
1850 is all of that mortgage or is some of it to them?
So 500 of that would be to them. When they were going into buying their next home, the bank was going to require them to show at least a 500 gain on top of the mortgage.
I remember this now. This is custom. This is pretty custom because usually we just take the debt, but because the payment was so low, right, Mallory? You had a little
so the
room
payment's like 1,300, something like that.
Nice. I love it. Great. Anything else about that? That's a good little nuance.
The 1,850 is actually a credit towards the purchase price every month.
The whole 1,850? Wow. So that, even though you gave a little bit towards them, you're getting it all off. That's sweet. Okay. 100% applied. Okay. Payment from the buyer coming in, this brand new buyer.
$2,096.
296. So there's a little cash flow there just on the payday 2 of how much? Almost 2 something, 240 something,
Yeah, 246.
246. And what term, we didn't talk about this, did you give the buyer even though you have 36 months?
24.
Okay. So context for everybody. Why is that so cool? Bunch of reasons. One, Mallory doesn't have to worry about, uh-oh, I'm right at the brink of my 36 months. She could have gave him 36 months, but then the buyers have no room for hiccups. Even though they have all good intentions, life happens, divorce, death, credit card on accident gets not paid, an extra car payment, whatever, and it slows down the process, and she just gave herself a 12-month buffer. The other thing I love about that, Mallory, is you could, if they had hiccups, you're under no obligation to maintain the price if they can't close in 24 months, although we almost always do. I don't think we've ever said, oh, you can't do this because they're a month late. But at least you're in control after 24 months, right?
Yep.
You don't close. What's that come to?
5904.
5904. So we got payday 1 of 35,000. We got payday 2 of 5904. Let's calculate payday 3, and because a lot of times that's the confusion for people. So we mock this home up from 315 to 349.9. Am I reading that right?
Mm-hmm.
So that comes to what? 4.9?
Yes.
Okay. 34.9. Principal pay down total in the term?
That's going to be the 1850 times the 24, which is going to be 44,400.
That's super strong. And that's only for 24 months. So if Mallory ends up going for whatever reason, another 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 months, which she would not bum out about, she picks up that extra almost $2,000 a month. It's crazy. Okay, now just like a conventional closing, so everybody knows, if you're going to buy a house today, you get credit for the deposit you put down yesterday or the month before, whatever it is. So we got to give them credit for this deposit they put down when they go to cash this baby out of 35 grand. So what's that leave for the payday 3?
349 minus
Plus that minus that.
44,3.
44.3.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got 35, 5904, and 44 comes to what? 80 something grand.
5904 plus 35. 85,204.
85,204. Still close to everyone's average in this price range, right? It's like 78 to 85-ish. You get, this is a nice little deal. A couple things to point out, and then Meryl, you can mention anything that I didn't bring up, and that is for everybody to see. You got a house that you're buying. Well, you put $10 down, right, for the deposit, I'm assuming. Okay, so $10 is how our lease purchase agreements are written up. So if you don't have credit right now, or into a cash, that was me coming out of the crash. This is the only way I could buy, and you're in luck because that's all Mallory did here, $10, and you can control this property. Now she secures her interest with a notice of option, but she essentially controls this property with a $10 deposit. Pretty cool. And for a $300,000 house, she pulls out $85,000 in profit that she basically created. I don't want to say out of thin air, it makes it sound easy, but with her skill sets, created 85 grand in the next 3 years. Pretty cool. Did I forget anything about nuances, Mallory, or anything that's like something that's a takeaway for these guys?
Well, in this case, the owners have told me that they are interested in potentially doing a sub-2 deal. And just basically cashing their equity out up front, and they are willing to take $35,000 in equity.
They already told you that low number for texting the other day, you and I. Wow. Okay, so I hope you guys caught that. So usually in about 9 months or 12 months, we would do what we call wealth stacking. We'd call the seller and say, hey, if we have other deals going on, hey, Mr. Seller, I know you got 2 more years left of this to get this 70, but what's the lowest you could take if I came up with it now? If I happen to be able to come up with it now, and Mallory could take that out of another deal, she could raise it privately, whatever she wants, take it out of a line of credit, but they're already negotiating with you down to half. Wow. And that would be, what do you think feasibly, like maybe in the next 9 months?
I mean, I would think sooner, but
they'd want it sooner, but I'm saying they'd probably hold out and wait for you for.
Oh yeah. They'll hold out and wait for it. Cause I initially said, would you do 25? And they came back at 35.
That's phenomenal. So that just went from an 85 grand deal to if you add 35 to that, you're at what, 120-ish? Yeah, this gets better and better.
And a higher payday 2 because my
Well,
payment for the mortgage amount would be a greater spread.
Yeah, no more money having to go. So there's nothing that I could pick apart this deal. This is sweet. And the wealth stacking piece of this, I hope answers the question for everyone that I get a lot on podcasts, which is why do you guys cash out of all your things short term? We don't necessarily. So Mallory could turn this into a sub 2 and buy it from them by paying 35 instead of 70. And then if she wanted to, she could do what? She could own and finance the sellers and they'd never have to go to a bank, the buyers, excuse me. She's created, I call it a payday 4, but you just created an income stream for 20 years, whatever you want.
That would be the hope. Yeah.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yes. I don't want to get rid of a 2.87 interest rate because I don't know that we'll ever see that again.
Right. So why not just keep letting it go? And then you charge them. You could actually, if you were doing this today with them, the buyers, you could say, I'll give you a rate of, 6.5, and they're beating the banks. Instead of getting greedy, right? You could say, I'm fine with 6.5. Go market and really crush it.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now on their budget, they're trying to estimate about 7.5 to an 8%.
So you're fine because they already got pre-qual to come into this house to do exactly that. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, Mallory. No pressure, but these guys want to see you back on a couple more times. So we'll get some more, we'll get some more deals going. I love it. Congrats. And I look forward to seeing you at the next event. And way before that, some more deals.
Sounds good.
Have an awesome night.
Awesome. See ya.